situation in Gaza today is a humanitarian catastrophe. Over 2 million people are trapped, half of them children, facing severe shortages of basic necessities. Food is scarce, clean water is a luxury, and essential medicines are running out. This crisis is the result of prolonged conflict and restrictive policies. The urgency to act cannot be overstated. The United Nations has been sounding the alarm with increasing urgency. Aid is technically entering Gaza, but much of it is not reaching the civilians who need it. Reports indicate that the Israeli military is not releasing the aid for distribution once it crosses into Gaza. This creates a cruel bottleneck. Supplies arrive, hope flickers, but then the aid sits, undistributed, while people starve. On May 19th and 20th, around 100 aid trucks reportedly entered Gaza. However, the UN reports a critical problem. The aid was not released by the Israeli military for onward distribution. Trucks were left waiting at the border for nearly 8 hours. This delay is a matter of life and death for those awaiting food, water, and medicine. The UN World Food Programme has been blunt in its assessment. The amount of aid currently managing to enter Gaza is not sufficient. For a population of over 2 million, a few dozen trucks are woefully inadequate. The barriers are not primarily geographical, they are political and military. The journey of aid into Gaza is fraught with obstacles, even after it crosses the border. Israeli authorities impose stringent requirements. Supplies often have to be offloaded from one set of trucks and then reloaded onto others. This cumbersome procedure consumes precious time and resources. Each delay translates into prolonged suffering for civilians. Doctors Without Borders, MSF, has been scathing in its criticism. Pascal Quassar, MSF's emergency coordinator, stated that Israel is allowing only a ridiculously inadequate amount of aid into Gaza. The obstruction of aid is not solely a matter of bureaucratic procedure or military policy. There have been disturbing reports of Israeli activists actively attempting to blockade convoys. These actions add another layer of complexity and danger to aid delivery efforts. Israel maintains an official position regarding humanitarian aid to Gaza. Kogat, the Israeli military body responsible for Palestinian civil affairs, states that the Israel Defense Forces will facilitate humanitarian assistance. However, this facilitation comes with a significant caveat, ensuring that aid does not reach Hamas. Israel recently claimed that 93 aid trucks were transferred into Gaza on a particular day. Yet, UN teams on the ground had not confirmed the arrival or distribution of these supplies. The international community's patience is wearing thin. Criticism of Israel's actions is mounting. Former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Olmert has voiced strong condemnation. He described Israel's conduct in Gaza as being dangerously close to a war crime. Palestinian leaders have been vocal in their condemnation. PLO chair Mahmoud Abbas accused Israel of implementing policies that amount to the starvation of the Gazan population. The blockade is seen as a collective punishment of an entire population. Security concerns, while legitimate, cannot justify the starvation of an entire population. The statistics of the Gaza crisis are horrifying, but they cannot fully capture the depth of human suffering. Consider the case of Siwara Shawa, a 5-month-old baby. She is malnourished, her tiny body struggling due to the scarcity of medical supplies and specialized formula. Her plight represents the silent agony of countless infants. The cruelty of the situation is further exemplified by the story of Niveen, a 7-month-old baby. She had undergone surgery in Jordan, a brief respite from the horrors of Gaza, but her recovery was cut short. She was sent back to Gaza, back into the heart of the crisis. The daily struggle for food dominates the lives of families across Gaza. The family of 6-year-old Ismail Abu Odeh is one among many facing severe food shortages. The lack of food is not just a physical deprivation, it is a psychological torment. The suffering is compounded by the ever-present threat of violence. The escalating humanitarian crisis in Gaza has triggered a wave of international political reactions. The United Kingdom has taken significant steps. Foreign Secretary David Lammy announced the suspension of trade negotiations with Israel. directly linking this decision to the dire situation in Gaza. The UK government has suspended an existing trade deal and imposed sanctions on West Bank settlers involved in violence. The European Union is also showing signs of increased pressure. EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas has ordered a review of the EU-Israel Association Agreement. Within the EU, voices are growing louder for more decisive action. Fine Gael MEPs from Ireland have urged the EU to suspend its trade and cooperation agreement with Israel entirely. Across the Atlantic, the United States is also facing pressure. The US is reportedly exploring controversial options, like the voluntary relocation of Palestinians to other countries. Meanwhile, moral authorities like Pope Leo XIV have made heartfelt appeals for sufficient and resumed humanitarian aid to Gaza. The UN is demanding the establishment of an immediate humanitarian corridor. The time for incremental steps is over. Decisive intervention is needed now.